Darkrai,
Yo, what's going on?
and basically the whole discussion here today while we play some COD is the hacking in Pokemon and some YouTubers who feel like that hacking is wrong and why they're not doing legitimately as to breeding Pokemon competitively.
Mm, well, yeah, I see where you're going with this.
Exactly. So, do
So we're gonna
you
do, are we gonna, alright, go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you breed legitimately or do you hack?
I do not do both. It's just either I get them off of Wonder Trade or, well, most of the time it's from Wonder Trade where I get most of my competitive Pokemon, or it's either people who are trading me it, so I really don't know myself.
Mm,
But I've never officially, I've tried to breed most of the time.
yeah,
Either I breed for a shiny or I just try to breed for, something I can try to use in competitive, but that never really turns out in my favor, so really, I, I don't really do both, because for one, I don't know how to hack, so, that's there, unless if you gen it, which a lot of people mostly do,
exactly.
and, which genning is really easy, it's something that almost everybody can do, if you have a PC, so.
Exactly.
And yeah, I can't really say I've done both, to be honest. I've tried to breed for a shiny Axew for a while, but I eventually I just quickly realized I don't have the patience of a shiny hunter, so I just decided to give up and then just never said anything else about it, so.
And that's mostly the thing about that is this is right. People usually just hack their skip the Pokemon instead of having to deal with all
Yeah.
that extra time on there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I just personally just never had the patience, and I never really bothered to Pokegen. I thought about it a couple of times, to be honest, but I got too lazy, and plus my computer really isn't that great, so I just decided to pass it up on genning anything, so.
So the
And
question
there's
is,
always a chance that Jenny can always mess up to where you can't even get a competitive Pokemon at all. You can't even move it
exactly.
to even Wonder Trade or anything, so there
Yep,
is always a chance of that, so,
true. But if you
you
can
know,
make the Pokemon legitimately,
yes.
like
The
if
thing
you,
is, you can't make it too legit. You can't make it too overpowered,
that's the
depending
whole
on which
thing.
Pokemon it is.
You can't really make it overpowered, but you can make it to the point where it's legitimately able to be passed as a good amount of a competitive Pokemon in the game
But if it
online.
isn't,
But if it
but
isn't,
if it isn't though, you can't trade it, battle it, or Wonder Trade it. You can't do anything.
yeah, because it will just like reads it online and says like, oh, there's something wrong with the Pokemon. You can't use the Pokemon. I mean,
No.
that's always the case when it comes to that. But since you're like, I guess if you're in the situation where you're Wi-Fi battling and trading, it will just pass through and it will work fine because it won't count as an online situation because it's a Wi-Fi situation.
Yeah.
So you could just
Yeah.
like, oh, sneak past the whole, oh, I have a hacked Pokemon and I can use it.
Yeah. I see where you're going with this.
So that's why we always do the whole, oh, we check online first and see if it actually passed through as a legitimate Pokemon. And if it works, then you could use it as a competitive play or a just playing it for fun, either way.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it at a tournament and it didn't go through as a legitimate mon, they won't know that until something, you know, is up with it. And usually, I guess the Pokemon company doesn't check that for some reason, and they should. If the Pokemon doesn't look right, like saying like a Pokeball that shouldn't even be having, because I noticed like certain people like have Pokeballs that makes no sense, like that's not even in that gen that to have that Pokeball, but yet you have it. How? And people are like, oh, that's cheating, that's cheating, that's hacking. I'm like, well, yeah, that's true, that is hacking. That makes sense.
Losing B. We lost Charlie. Losing B.
Oh, snap.
Losing A.
Oh my gosh.
Losing Bravo.
Where did you go, man? Like, we just lost Shiny Darkrai.
Okay, there it goes.
I was like, whoa, we just lost Shiny Darkrai for a quick second there.
Yeah, my mic's being stupid. I really need to get a new one. It like says it's on, now I have to mess with it for a few minutes, and then it'll eventually start working again.
But yeah, so like I said,
Yeah.
you know, there's that whole point where that whole hacking scene comes in where is it legit, is it not legit? No one would know unless the Pokemon company do something about it. If they're not gonna do anything about it, then it's just saying, oh, you could do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And this is what some of the YouTubers kind of complain about. Honestly, I think the only YouTuber that complained about it was Virilus. And
Yeah.
and I kind of I understand from his standpoint, because he's like one of the legitimate players who play Pokemon legitimately
Losing B.
in that situation.
Yeah.
Losing A.
But then I'm like, well,
That's a 6-6 and a kick for that SOE.
I want to be like honest to my viewers about stuff. Like, yes, I do hack Pokemon. I do kind of, you know, do hacking, but it's not like, oh, I hack and then I win every single match, basically.
Yeah.
I at least make my Pokemon
Yeah,
at least
I'll
legitimate.
be honest as well. I mean, it's not like I want to have an overpowered Pokemon, because what's the point of having an overpowered Pokemon if you're just gonna win every match? I mean, there's no
Exactly.
fun in that.
There's really no fun in that. But yet again, Virilus, who's a big YouTuber who keeps making, you know, this you know, an issue, and I kind of understand that. I really do. I absolutely understand that, but
And that's how we
there's no need to make a big fuss about it, even though it is a problem. But I feel like
It's a problem, but it's one of those problems that always just slips everybody's mind. Like, a lot of people that I know gym their Pokemon, which I'm fine with that. I mean, they managed to get it legitimately, but there are a couple of people I know where they made theirs, and they're like, oh, well, why won't it work competitive? And I told them, well, you know, you overpowered it, so now you can't use it, and I mean, it's just it's the fact of it's kind of hard to explain in a way, but it's just the fact of, like I said before, what's the point of all when, you know, you gotta always have a good challenge sometimes.
Exactly.
Because you'll never have any fun almost every match, and then, you know, you're basically invincible, and then at that point, you know, what's the point of even battling? You know, you can always, like, get that overpowered Pokemon and probably in the story mode, but, you know, the story mode's a scrub by itself, so you really don't get that much of a challenge in story mode anyway.
Exactly.
And you know, that's why competitive play came in, so a lot of people could, you know, can see actual other people's minds, you know, just not like the AI's mind, like actual people who are actually thinking about their moves, like have different moveset, have different Pokemon. And I respect that they did that, because not only was that a pretty cool feature that they added, it's just, like I said before, it's just another thing that just makes you think even more, because the AI is just pretty stupid sometimes. I mean, I've seen the AI pretty stupid, so...
Yeah. And then
but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. There's always that, and the fact of how to say, like, what was it? Pretty sure there's been some other issues as well with the fact that if I could like breed the exact same Pokemon and hack the same Pokemon, saying like for Squirtle for instance, I'll literally match every single stats of that breeding Pokemon. Would you know the difference between the two?
There wouldn't be a whole lot different. I mean, it just kind of depends though. I mean, you would, if everything's the same thing, you know, with the same nickname, the same movesets, all the same stats, same nature, etc., you really wouldn't tell the difference. Wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
You really wouldn't.
But, you know, then you gotta think though, I mean, there is always in the system well, most of the time it gets past the system most of the time, which a lot of people are a lot more smarter now and understand that, so to make it to where they have, like, basically to where they can get almost everything legitimately if they play it smart. You know, if they just go in reckless and just gen the most overpowered Pokemon, I mean, you what's the point?
Exactly, what's the point?
And then plus with the breeding thing, like you just said earlier, what's the point of breeding when you already have the gen Pokemon right there? I mean, that's just going to be another waste of your time, unless if you're playing to use the exact same Pokemon, just in different games, like you have one for X and Y, or Alpha Sapphire, or Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, you know. I don't see a lot of the point of having two exact same thing equal. It just, I don't know. It's just, especially if you try to breed for it right after you just genned it.
Exactly.
I think it's a personal waste of time, because it's just already there. I mean, what's more than wasting your time when you can just when you already got it there? Which I'm not approving of genning, but I mean, if you want to do it, it's up to you. It's not like an actual crime or anything, but it's just, a lot of people, I think that a lot of people need to start playing fair. Just like actually legitimately breeding Pokemon would make things a lot more easier. well, a lot more harder to where they could basically, just make it harder to where, they kind of earn the Pokemon. Really, that's my point, to be honest. I mean, I, I would say I don't improve gending, but a lot of Pokemon I have are genned, but I never genned myself. Which they probably are genned, let's be honest. I mean, a lot of people, like you were saying earlier, a lot of people don't have patience to get that Pokemon, so they just gen it, and then there it is.
True, and then the fact that since X and Y had started basically, and even Auras, it was just like, well, now we have the super training, so it makes it much easier to train the EVs, so you don't have to gen
Yeah,
Pokemon.
but still at the same time though, it's still as time consuming as it was.
Exactly. And that's where people have an issue with, where, well, technically it's still time consuming. You still have to do this, this, and this, and this to get what you want, and a competitive based style for the set Pokemon.
Yeah.
When you could just go the faster instant route and gen it out.
Yeah.
But it is the fact that you just have to do it legitimately to the point where it can't pass through online and everything, and then be able to be used in competition and every time.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Just like, I have 3 Darkrai's in my PC right now. 2 of them are probably genned. One I got from the event, the code events from March, I think it was. Whenever they did the Darkrai events. And I bet you Darkrai, to be honest, if you wanted to, like, just down in Pearl and Platinum, if you wanted to shiny hunt a Darkrai, which I don't think it's shiny locked, but if you did, I mean, you can get a shiny Darkrai, but who wants to give up a shiny Darkrai, though? I wouldn't, to be honest.
Unless you,
so, I mean, that's a hard...
Unless you copied it, and then you have, like, clones of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, yeah, that comes to another point of mine, which is, like, basically copying your Pokemon, which I think that's kind of stepping over the line a bit. Which, genning isn't as bad as copying a Pokemon, because you're basically, you could make a full, like, a whole, all of your people. Now, I think that's overpowered personally, because I've seen a lot of people who have copied their Pokemon and, got a, just have a huge box of overpowered Pokemon, like have 3 Dialgas, 6 Palkias, 18 Garatinas, all very different, powerful, all shiny, That, I want to say it's not as bad as genning, but at the same time, they're both kind of, well, in a way, they're not crimes at all, but they're crimes against Pokemon in a way.
Exactly. And how people always complain, like, oh, why you have an all shiny team? Why is this all shiny team?
I have an all
be
shiny
hacking.
team.
Yeah, and then people make a scene about it because it's like, oh, it's hacking. You literally have a full team of shinies. There's no way you could get a full team of shinies unless you hacked it. And I'm like, how you know
unless
he didn't
if you're one of those people like A-Drive. Yeah, unless if you're like one of those people who are like A-Drive, who actually patiently wait for his Pokemon, for a shiny Pokemon, and I respect that.
And like shiny chain everything.
No. Which, I respect the shiny hunter, but I said, to be honest, I just don't have the patience for it. I'm not a very patient person.
Yeah, there's most people who are not that patient when it comes down to that. And like I said, I kind of understand that as well, but I can also be patient and do the same thing, or just, you know, I just feel like, you know, why not just go ahead and straight out gen everything.
Well,
I
to
need.
be honest, it just depends on kind of, well, all the methods are still going to take time consuming, but the easiest method for me, well, I still haven't got a shiny, but an X and Y where you can just go past the prism tower over and over on your bike, when you can just stick a quarter or a piece of paper or something, you know, right there on your circle pad or whatever. And the only bad thing about that was like, literally, I could show you a picture and I have nearly a full box of axe shoes, and after that I just kind of gave up, considering, you know, I don't have the shiny charm and I don't have the patience of catching every Pokemon or trading every Pokemon just to get the shiny charm. You know, shiny Pokemon are, sometimes I think about it, shiny Pokemon but it's just like a snap of a finger and there you go.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So what do you think about the fact that they're not gonna try to update the Pokemon Bank into next year, so you could put in the Pokemon from Omega
your X and Y and
Alpha
Oris call for
and then
copy
the
it.
whole red and blue and yellow.
No. Well, I'm a person who does not have Pokebank because I just never had the time for it. And at the time the Pokebank was first released, I never had the money for it. So, you know, but nowadays I'm thinking, well, you know, one day, probably when sometime probably months after Sun and Moon is going to come out, they're going to shut down probably their X and Y servers, and then you won't be able to battle on X and Y. You know, you could probably still battle on Oris, but you can't battle on X and Y. And then when that day comes, if you don't know, that's probably where I have all my Pokemon, all my shiny Pokemon in X and Y. Which I started a new game on my Alpha Sapphire, which was jokes on me, considering that I have to beat the whole game again for me to trade all my Pokemon back over. Because that's just how I am. I don't want to have too many overpowered Pokemon at the beginning of the game.
Well, basically, what they're trying to do is to make the Pokemon Bank later, like fix the update later, so people who do Pokegen or stuff like that, they don't have to cheat for some of the for Sun and Moon later on. And it's respectable, and then it's kind of feel like, well, are they trying to like fix up that update for it so they could do all that extra stuff for it?
Yeah. Well,
so
go ahead.
So they can make sure that no one can actually hack on there and cheat.
No. Well, another thing that's been on my mind was that, you know, when Sun and Moon comes out, chances are that, just an example, if you caught all the Pokemon, and like I said, I don't have Pokebank, so I really can't confirm this, but if you had all your Pokemon, all 721 Pokemon and you want to transfer them to the Pokebank, there isn't going to be a lot of room for it. And then you're going to have to give up a lot of your mons just to fit the other ones in there. So, you know, which I guess I can understand that because whenever the new update comes out, whenever it does, for all we know, it could be tomorrow, it could be next year, it could be whenever Sun and Moon comes out. I mean, we don't know. That's the thing.
Exactly.
But whenever it does come out, it has to be, they have to update their boxes to where they add a couple more boxes to where they could squeeze everything in one Pokebank.
Exactly, because about 100
Without
boxes
having,
not technically really that all good.
Yeah. Well, necessarily though, only just one box can hold up to only maybe 30 Pokemon, somewhere around that number. And, you know, you gotta multiply that to 700, and you gotta times that for every box you have. And if you only have 18 boxes, I doubt that's gonna be enough. 'Cause I'm really lazy and I'm not gonna bother to do the math.
Yeah, pretty sure. Because at least anything, we probably might have about get at least 800 Pokemon in total. At least 800 or 900 in total. And
yeah,
depending on what's going to happen for that, we don't know if we're going to be able to fit as many Pokemon that we're going to fit in Pokemon Bank.
Yeah.
And we might have to get a couple of more boxes to add more. Probably say at least, I would say at least get 50 more. Honestly, about like 50 more boxes would be pretty decent.
Do you know he was calling you? Son? Did you say you was a liar?
I'm on the live stream and family.
I really don't. What do you want for Jonathan dinner?
Okay.
What do you want for dinner, Jonathan?
So basically, my family just want to know what I want to eat for dinner, and I don't know. So, and if they have some ideas.
I suggested Wendy's or a burrito. Mom suggested essentials, and I said if she's cooking, I suggested burgers or spaghetti.
Wait, you gotta go with me over that again, cause I got lost.
Mom suggests essentials. I suggest Wendy's or a burrito.
I guess.
She's making. And I said we should do spaghetti or a burger. You want to talk about
a burger. But yeah, a burger. Make. What was it? Since I was interviewed or whatever. What was I about to say? I had something in my head about Sun and Moon.
Wait, are we back?
Yeah. Basically, it's about like, so like I said, like they're pretty much trying to make everything legitimate to the point where it's fine and whatnot.
Yeah.
So So if that's the case, where you don't have to use Pokemon Bank for a pretty good while, they're trying to make the game at least playable without having people that hack.
Yeah.
So, I mean, honestly, I think that's a good idea, but I feel like, do you really want to wait for the update as much as it needs to, and at least get like 50 people, or at least 50 boxes or something like that to be added on?
Yeah.
Because like I said, I wouldn't mind having like 50 more boxes to be added on, because I'm pretty sure we probably won't get that many Pokemon in Sun and Moon, just because of that. So
well, 50... I mean, probably when the time Sun and Moon comes out, we're gonna have at least nearly 800, 900, almost nearly 1,000 Pokemon. So, and then you gotta calculate that up to only a certain amount of boxes. So 50 would be nice, just to fit the other. But I would honestly think about 100 boxes would actually just, you know, because
so
when Sun and Moon's gonna come out, yeah.
I was thinking the same thing, because we already have 100 boxes already in total in the Pokemon Bank. So if we get like another 100 on there on top of that, that would be nice. At least that would add more room.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Hostile UAV spotted. Losing Alpha. We lost A.
Oh, I just kicked myself out. But yeah.
I don't know why, but for me, everything just kind of went quiet for a second.
I think it's probably the internet connection, because lately it's been doing the same thing from your side, where everything just went completely quiet, and then I hear your voice again.
Well, my internet's probably just being crappy right now. It's to be honest.
Yeah.
So how long is the live stream going for?
I guess until I start eating, basically. So that's probably
Alright.
Yeah, that's probably right. About 7 o'clock, I'll pretty much end this live stream. But like I said, honestly, I feel like it's good that they're trying to hold back on the update beforehand, so no one had to consider that an issue, so everybody could just play the game as legitimate as they can without fearing the whole, oh, this person cheated, oh, this person cheated, this person out of this Pokemon that I don't
That's another
have.
thing that bugs me, is everybody just points out, because just like you were saying earlier, like somebody just has a shiny team, everybody automatically assumes, oh, he cheated.
Exactly, and it's like and then technically that's the, I feel like that shouldn't be the issue. The actual issue is the Pokeball itself. Like I said, it's usually the Pokeball.
Well, I mean,
because if you really think about it, because saying like you play Soul, like Heart Gold and Soul Silver, right? And you have lure balls, you have fast balls, you have pretty much most of these Pokeballs that happen in that second gen, right? But in 6th gen, right? So 6th gen, you can't really have these set Pokeballs. It doesn't make sense. It's not legit. unless you're playing second gen
Yeah.
that has these Pokeballs. And this is where people have an issue with, where, oh, this Pokemon is legendary, or this Pokemon is a regular Pokemon, but they're shiny, but they have these Pokeballs that don't even, that are not, you know, able to get in
Yeah.
6th generation, but only in 2nd generation. So that's what I was like,
Yeah.
Gorillas have like an issue with, where they say, oh, that's how you can tell a Pokemon is hacked or not, because of that Pokeball that they're holding. Like,
Yeah.
basically a person
Well, I
in
mean,
VGC.
if you, just like the other day, like I had I was Wonder Trading and I ended up with like a heavy ball Snorlax, and that would have to come a long way from Heart
Exactly.
Golden to Silver, which
Exactly.
I think personally, a Snorlax at level 1. So you gotta think about it now. Beat it all the way from Heart Gold to Silver, someone ended up in Black and White, and then just really.
Yeah, exactly. And I have this particular Pokeball that makes no sense, but this Pokemon is legit to, like, saying it's basically was born here in Kalos, but it has that particular,
Yeah.
you know, ball, and it's like you can't breed those Pokeballs.
Yeah.
So if you can't breed those Pokeballs, then something's up with that Pokemon.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's-
just like an exclusive Pokeball, yeah, just like you were saying, it's like an exclusive Pokeball, like to that generation.
Exactly. And like the only exclusive Pokeballs you could usually get will be like a Cherish Ball if you're doing like one of those events.
Yeah.
And those are only for event Pokemon that really get those type of Pokeballs. And
And the only legendary that I have with the Cherish Ball that I know of is just my Darkrai. My Darkrai I got from the 20th Years of Pokemon thing, like I was saying earlier. And it has a Cherish Ball, but it's an event Pokemon, so
exactly. And it's not shiny.
there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, it's not shiny either.
And that's another thing that most people have like an issue with, of the like, oh, why is this event Pokemon shiny? This makes no sense. You can't. But I'm thinking you could soft reset it to make it shiny, but it takes forever to do.
But you still get a shiny in the end,
Yeah,
eventually.
exactly. You still get it at the very end. Once you reset it multiple times throughout, you will be able
But
to
you
get it.
gotta really want it, is the thing.
Exactly. And that will take some hours to do.
Yeah.
Rolling thunder on standby. Perhaps deploy ship on standby.
It's
Yeah.
super crazy.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Well, personally, I think that what they need to do is, if Pokemon really got annoyed with genning, you know, they could always make it to where genning Pokemon aren't possible.
But I feel
Like, they can only catch it in that game, and they could have like a sensor to tell if it was actually came from the actual copy of the game. But unless if you get it from a trade, but
Yeah.
you need, you know, then you gotta think about it though. At the same time, you know, that could mess up the game pretty bad, because you can get a gem Pokemon from the trade, and that can be its breakthrough.
True. Gosh.
Hostile counter UAV above.
But you know, it's that point. It's really that point where you just don't know till it happens, and
Yeah. You know, there's
Yeah.
always gonna be one guy who has like really bad internet and lets it pass through, and then when that happens, you know, everybody finds out. So, and then there's always actual hackers who can actually get that through. And I've seen like people who have like already mega evolved Pokemon in battle, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, but that stuff only could work like if you're actually like in the same room with a set person. Because
Yeah.
lately I have not come across a person who had a team that was already a fully Mega Evolved Pokemon before. So that's how I know they already like literally checked that stuff to the clear point and saying that, oh, you can't, we cannot have that particular Pokemon.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, sometimes they manage to catch it, but most of the time, there's got to be really good hackers who manage to get it past.
true.
Because most of the time, you know, that's not possible. There's no way you can do it. Not even Jenners can do that. They can't. So, you know, at that point, that's an actual hacker.
Exactly. That's how you could tell from the cheat.
But the only reason why I know that is because I watched a YouTube video from Pimptonite, I think his name is called.
Oh yeah, I've seen that video too.
He also found someone with the sturdy Ninja, and then one with like a team full of Slackings that have huge power, which allows them to like basically just move almost every turn, you know, all that.
Yeah.
And you know, and that's the only thing hackers can do, is they can just do that. But at the same time though, you know, that would be pretty cool if they added where, you know, like they can catch hackers and, you know, do something like ban them from competitive play, or they could just suspend them for a small amount of time.
Yeah, but if only. That's pretty much the case with that. If only.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I could say this for next time because now I'm getting called.
Alright, well, when is our next live stream day? Are we gonna make this like a normal thing, or?
I would probably say Monday I'll start it up again and then we'll have another conversation.
Alright, just hit me up on Amino and I'll get on.
Okay.
If I'm not on Monday. Alright then, man, I guess I'll catch you later.
See ya, and see you guys. See you on the next live stream. Bye.
Later.